What is up, everyone? Welcome back to our lawn. Welcome to southeastern Wisconsin in late August, where for some reason it's like 95 and feels like well over 100, which is pretty rare for these parts, especially this time of year. But this video is not about the weather. This video is about the late summer 2024, the season where everything went wrong. And it even stems back parts of it to May and June. It's not been a good year. So let's talk about it and what we can learn from it. So we're gonna get to the issues we had on the putting green in the practice facility. First, I wanna talk about the issues I've had on my yard, and right now it all looks pretty good. Cartwheel approved. But basically what happened in my front and backyard is I am in my second or maybe even my third year, we'll wait for the sprinkler to get all the air out of it, of trying to fertilize, trying to do as little as I possibly can in my yard to see how it responds. And to this point, it's responded really well, but I think this year I hit the limit of that. So I didn't apply any fertilizer at all until almost July, and that was only a half pound of NPK via 1010 to the whole yard. It responded fairly well, but then rust came in. I was trying to see if I could get away with not doing any fungicides, so rust kind of stunted some of the growth. It wasn't looking very good. So finally I just broke down and said, hey, I can't get away with fertilizing this little bit. I need to do it a little bit more. I also have now this coming Saturday, we have a big anniversary party for my mother and father-in-law. We're gonna have a bunch of people come over here. Can't have the yard looking like it's currently looking, so we gotta do something. I came out with a pound of N, give or take, on really the whole managed property, green, backyard, front yard, and it immediately responded. And it looks how it looks now. Now I still got some dead spots. I have weeds in here. I have areas that haven't fully recovered, but the difference that it made is night and day. And it was really just because I finally put N down. And out in the front yard, this looked really marginal. Same story. We throw a bunch of fertilizer at it. It starts to look better. We'll talk about the random strips over here in a minute. But again, quick recovery. We throw a bunch of N down and we're good to go. Everything bounces back. Again, lesson learned that I took the do less too far. However, to get your yard to recover takes a lot less than maybe you might see talked about in some other places here on the internet. Just a heavy shot of N. Boom, we're right back to it. Also fungicides. I got azoxine prop out for the rust. Seems to have solved all my issues. Look at this, delightful. So by and large, the challenge to myself still remains the same. I probably have done 6 to 8 fungicide applications in previous years on my front and backyard. This year I've only done 1 to get to the same result. So you can still probably play with and mess around with how little you can get away with. This year I just learned the lesson that there are limits to that, and I took it too far. And so that brings us back here to the practice facility, which has been a total and complete failure this season. And it's not for the same reason the front and backyard were a failure. I did, with one exception, everything I wanted to do. I was active, I got fungicides down regularly, I was really religious about my plant growth regulator. I did a video earlier in the year talking about how important those were. I stuck to that. I did those things. But I also, and as I've documented, I did an overseed project on this green expansion. Since I can't quite get it to come in, I can't get it to look as good, to come in, fill in the same way that the other part of the green did. So I did the exact same process I did over here. The reason why this part looks as good as it does over there, except this time it didn't work. And so I tried it one more time. Thought, well, I'll get a little bit more aggressive with the watering. This time we'll have some success. Tried it again, didn't work. All this time I'm mowing longer. All this time the putting green is getting used to being cut at 3/8 of an inch, getting used to being taller. And so the time finally comes where I abandon ship. I give up on the green expansion seeding and just start bringing the height of cut back down. Well, as I'm bringing the height of cut back down, I'm starting to realize that the old part of the green is getting really spongy. And I'm also frustrated with everything that's gone on. So I kind of go, not scorched earth, but I say, you know what, that's enough. So I came out and I said, we're gonna get sand on it. We haven't got sand on it. Let's verticut it. So I went through, I verticut the whole thing. I did it in 2 different directions. I came back, I actually seeded then again. This time I didn't water. I just have the seed with nowhere to go with it really, so I might as well throw it out there and hope for the best. And we get here, which is not great. Like, it's starting to come back. I can show you up close the checkerboard pattern we have where the grass is filling into the trenches that we had from the scarifier. And again, that's just kind of satisfying to watch. We have some of that footage up, but it's just not good. And then we parlay that and combine it with the worst thing that happened to me this year, which is I had a weekend where I was due for fungicide, but I was busy that weekend. I didn't get to it. Travel the next week. Already had a little bit of signs of disease, but I thought, you know what, it'll be okay. Come back, we got a lot of disease, a lot of issues, but I'm out of my annual max of Armada, so I have to pick up azoxine, propiconazole. I put those out. All right, good, we should be covered. However, again, that's not a great application for dollar spot or Pythium, and I don't know exactly if I'm dealing with dollar spot or if I'm dealing with Pythium or what it is exactly. But as I make my way back here to the part that got hit the worst, the Zoxy and Prop didn't do a dang thing to slow this down. It took over all of the bent grass. It started to creep into the legacy bent grass, which for whatever reason was more resistant than the new stuff. It got into the dirt circle, which if you've ever seen any of my content, I have laid in there and filmed a number of videos because it was my single favorite spot on the whole property. Now it looks like that. It all dies off. I lose my usual spots over there to just drought and not being generally happy with the heat and temperatures. And that was where we got to. This was so nice for so long, and I made it so long, and now it looks like this. But I did do one additional Armada application. I also picked up mefenoxam, which is now going to give me a group 4 fungicide. So grabbing a third group, that should be, while not the best for Pythium, if it is Pythium, it should help with that. It should also help with some of the other things that we got going on to assist the Zoxy and Prop through the rest of the year. And I'm going to adjust my fungicide schedule going forward. So next year, Armada seems to be my better product for whatever it fights back here from a disease perspective. So I'm going to do a Zoxy and Prop May, June. Then once we get into the heavy seasons, or probably just May, then once we get into the heavy seasons, June, July, August, I have Armada available to me. I can apply it on the consistent interval and hopefully prevent something like this from happening again. Also during that time, because propiconazole is supposed to be a plant growth regulator, I skipped T-Nex as well. And it doesn't really seem like Prop had a whole lot. So now it's also growing all leggy. It looks less tight, less well knit together, disease issues, etc. So we finally got T-Nex on it as well. It's got the same pound of N that out there has, and I can finally tell that the disease has stopped spreading and it's gonna start to recover. And so we can get you up close and personal with this. It looks like this basically everywhere. Like I said, the only thing that's promising as we come to these edges now, they're looking healthy, they're looking happy, and we're getting a little bit of leaf tissue sneaking back in through here. It'll all be fine, it is what it is, but that's our learning lessons for today. So we got, you need to do something in the yard. You can't get away with doing absolutely nothing, which is what I was trying to just see what would happen. You don't need much to recover if you've been maintaining a yard. Go out there with a good fertilizer application, something high end, not a $65 bag of fish tank gravel. Just go pick up the cheap fertilizer from your local hardware store, throw it out, get some water on it if need be, and you'll be back and you'll be good to go. And then for those of you following along with your putting greens, don't miss your fungicide applications, right? I had a whole video talking about how this is the most important thing that you could do in a putting green was fungicides and plant growth regulator. Don't miss one. And especially don't miss one in late July, early August, when your disease pressure is the highest. And when that happens, don't abandon plant growth regulator, stick with it. From there, I'm not worried about it. I've found new and exciting ways to kill or severely damage this practice facility every single year I've had it, going all the way back to 2020, 4 years now. Every single year, we do the things that we need to do to just help it survive, help it make it to winter. The next spring, we come back out, you get the spring flush, all the growth that happens, we can fertilize, get it to spread, and it will again look nice, and I will get my 5th attempt at hopefully making it through the season without completely ruining it. And that's all I had for you today, just talking about where we're at, what's going on. And I just now, for those of you who are still here, want to give you a little bit of an update. Maybe you saw it flash itself. Maybe you saw some of the goofy looking lines in my yard. I talked about those 2 strips that I whoopsied with the settings. But we got Mo Willems down here, beloved childhood author and robot mower. I bought that with my own money. So the next heavy set of videos are going to be all revolving around that guy right there. As I get used to it, as I learn about it, we're going to get the 1 week first impressions, and then as time goes on, as things happen, as I learn about it, as I have issues potentially, we'll let you know. But so far, I am happier with it than I thought I would be. So, as always, subscribe to the channel if you want to follow along to what's going on with that. Subscribe to follow along with kind of how we're able to recover the practice facility, what we're doing in the yard and hole. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment with maybe any of the struggles that you had this year. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.